Hello YouTube, hello Wigs.com followers, hello to the random people in the back, whomever you are or wherever you're from, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Marcy, also known on social media as The Art of Alopecia, and that is actually why I am here today. I am going to talk a little bit about my alopecia journey and kind of what has brought me and led me to this moment where I am filming my alopecia story for you all. So get comfy. It might be a long one. I specifically chose my comfy sweater. I have my comfy socks on. I'm ready to dive deep. I don't know how long this is gonna take, but I promise you my journey has been an uphill battle. Obviously I have, or I shouldn't say obviously because not all of you know me, but I am a person who has completely embraced my alopecia. I absolutely adore it and I'm so thankful for it. And there is a reason for that. There is a story behind everything. So I have written a few kind of key points that I want to talk about. And I'm going to not try and stop this video. I'm just going to keep just fireballing stories at you because that's how I've chosen to do this. My alopecia story is a long one, but I'm not going to go into great detail because that would take hours. So if you ever want to reach out to me, if you ever have any questions about my story or any questions about any experiences, then feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out to me over social media, or you can also email me at theartofalopecia@gmail.com and ask me any questions that you may have. But without further ado, let's get started. And if you see me looking down, I just have a few little bullet points of things that I would like to talk about that I think would be important to talk about. So let's get started. So my alopecia story started at the age of 6. That is when I woke up and there was there was a hill on my pillow. There was a hair, more than hair. I'm failing miserably. There was a chunk of hair on my pillow and I ran to my mom and she did a good job at kind of hiding how she was actually feeling. Later on did I know that she was actually panicking on the inside, but there was a huge chunk of hair on my pillow and my mom immediately called my doctor because she had no idea what was happening and she tried to comfort me. I was really confused. And so we booked an appointment with my family doctor. My family doctor didn't really know how to help me, so he referred me to a dermatologist, and I had to wait probably a year to get in as his patient. I believe he was the only pediatric dermatologist in my hometown at the time. I could be wrong, but even specialists back then were really hard to get into. It just took so much time. So I waited about a year. I didn't lose a significant amount throughout that year. I had like a few little bald spots here and there, but I had thick and long enough hair to cover it all. So it didn't really bother me until the age of about 7. I was diagnosed with alopecia areata. He ran a whole bunch of tests. I did some blood work. He looked at my scalp. He looked at my bald spots and he concluded that I had alopecia areata. And I don't believe at that point I started doing any treatments because I don't think my parents felt comfortable enough doing that at such a young age. I believe maybe when I was 8, I started some creams as my hair loss started to progress. Just some very non-invasive creams that you would apply on a daily basis at night for it to kind of stick. But I just remember having such a bad experience with those. I don't know what kind of creams. I was on so many different creams, so many different medications, so many different treatments throughout my journey, which I will somewhat touch base on in this video. But I just remember it being so irritating on the skin. It made my hair so greasy. It was so uncomfortable. So I just kind of stopped it. And as I said, my alopecia didn't really bother me for the first few years when I was diagnosed because I had long enough hair to cover it. So I didn't really have to worry about anything because I wasn't seeing it and other people weren't seeing it. So I had no reason to be anxious about it at all. So it didn't bother me until around the age of, I don't know what age I was, in grade 10. or no, not grade 10, grade 5, half of that. In grade 5, I started to lose a significant amount of hair. I had a large bald spot at the back of my head, but I still had hair about here and at the back, at the very back nape, but a huge bald spot like right there. So I wasn't ready to transition to a wig, so my mom had an idea of what if we were to pin like beanie hats on your back, on the back of your head every single day, and I liked that idea. So I started wearing beanie hats on a day-to-day basis. I would pin them down, and I actually had to get special permission from my school to wear hats in school, because that was one of the biggest rules. You couldn't wear hats in school, especially even just like a little beanie hat. I just don't understand. So due to medical reasons, I got an exemption, and that is when some people started to tease me. Some people felt that it was unfair that I was getting treated differently, and they had no idea I had alopecia. They had no idea anything because I was really, really good at hiding it. I chose to hide it because I was embarrassed. I was scared of what people would think. I didn't want anyone to feel differently about it. And I did not want to be labeled as the cancer girl, because I feel like back then there was no awareness of alopecia whatsoever. No one knew, unless they specifically had someone in their life who had alopecia. But at that point in time, it was just non-existent. The awareness was non-existent, hence why I was just so scared to tell anyone. But I had the support of my family and my best friend at the time, which was great. So yeah, that's when the bullying kind of started to happen. Not really so much bullying, I shouldn't say, more like teasing and kind of just like unfair comments to me, blah, blah, blah. And so we arrive at the age of 10. And at the age of 10, I lost all of my hair, probably 90% of my hair. And on the Friday, right before the long weekend, or I think it was just a regular weekend, I was perfectly fine. I was wearing my beanie hat at the back of my head at school. And then on the Sunday leading up to the Monday going back to school, that's when I lost my hair. So I panicked immensely, because I didn't know what to do. I could no longer wear my beanie hat, so I just panicked. And my mom said, do you want to go wig shopping? And I didn't really want to, but I knew that that was the only way that I was going to be able to cover it, because I wasn't going to wear a toque in, I don't even know what season it was. Maybe it was like spring, or maybe it was fall, but anyways, it was just like a wig. I'm about to sneeze. If I sneeze, I'm so sorry. I get that little tickle. But yeah, it was just like, there was no other option. It was either come out to school fully bald or buy a wig. So my mom brought me to, excuse me, a local wig shop here in my hometown. And it was one of the most overwhelming experiences of my entire life. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink some water. Because I went in with no knowledge. My mom had no knowledge. We didn't know exactly what we were looking for. We didn't know anything about quality, prices, anything like that. And I got the idea when I walked in there that they were wanting to sell wigs. They did not care about sympathy. They did not care about emotions. They just wanted to sell wigs. So there was no private room for me to try on any wigs in privacy. It was out in the open. Everyone was staring at me. It was so uncomfortable. Like, imagine being a 10-year-old going through hair loss, already going through like having like identity crisis. Like, that's the point in time where like you're really trying to figure out like who you are as a person, like who your real friends are, or maybe that was too soon, but like you are still kind of going through this really intense developmental stage, because of like society, all of their beauty standards and stuff like that. Anyways, let's not get into all that. But anyways, I went into the wig shop and I found a beautiful blonde wig that I thought was the most beautiful thing. On Monday, people were very confused as to why on Friday I had so little hair, and then on Monday I had a huge head of hair. I'm feeling misery. And which led them to walk a little bit closer, and that is when they realized that it was a wig. I guess it was so unnatural to the point that people could tell right off the bat. And that's when I didn't want to go to school anymore because kids judged me, kids bullied me. I became Barbie doll, bubblehead, cancer girl. I don't even know why people joke about cancer. Like, how is that even funny? Anyway, so I just got called all of these horrible names because no one had any idea as to what was actually happening other than my best friend and maybe two others. And I was always a very energetic, bubbly kid growing up. And that was the moment in my life where I stopped being that. And after a few months of dealing with the bullying, I told myself enough is enough. And I came up with the idea with my best friend at the time that we would do an alopecia presentation. And that is what we did. We asked special permission from my teacher. And at the end of the school year, towards the end, I got up in front of all the grade sixes and I did this presentation. And I explained what alopecia was, how I cannot control it, and how it made me feel when people would bully me because of wearing a wig. And at the end of the presentation, I took off my wig and I showed everyone my natural state. And let me tell you, the amount of apologies and tears that were in that room that I received, it was a very emotional day. I felt like in that moment, that was like the biggest turning point in my alopecia journey, because that was one of the first moments that I took control over my narrative and over my life. So after that, the bullying stopped, because I always say this, and I truly mean it. The only reason why kids judge is because they don't fully understand the story. And I will always stand by that. Starting of grade 7, I had to switch schools because I was in the French system, and my elementary school started or stopped in grade 6, and the next phase, middle school, high school, started in grade 7 all the way to grade 12. So I was in a school with grade 7s all the way to grade 12s. So I was very, very nervous, but I had gotten a new wig. I thought it was a little bit more natural. And on the first day of school, like, the same thing happened. It felt like felt like history was repeating itself. I remember on the first day of school, I was in the bathroom, and I was in one of the stalls, and a few of the grade 8 girls were talking about me. They didn't know I was actually in the bathroom with them, and they were saying the meanest of things. They were calling me ugly. They were calling my wig just horrendous names, which made me feel so sad, because I really thought I was going to get a fresh start at a new school, and I didn't. And so after a week of being down and a week of taking all of this bullying, a week of not wanting to go to school, I wanted to take control again. So I went into every class of grade 7 and 8, and I did a similar presentation. And after that, I didn't get any issues. I didn't have any issues. There was nothing. There was only apologies for the people that had said anything to me or had asked me any kind of questions. And I gained a lot of new friends, which was really nice because people knew who I was. So I'm happy I did that. I was proud of myself. That was really, really scary. And then the high school kids became an even bigger issue. Yes, unfortunately. And I was getting bullied by the high school kids, which was really, really hard because they were so much older and so much bigger than me. So I felt like I had no chance. So I went to my principal and I asked him what I should do. And he goes, I don't really remember this conversation, but he's just like, I can bring in individual people that you point out, but how would you like to handle this on a large scale? And he he mentioned that there was an assembly coming up the following week, and I said, oh, no way. And crazy me, grade 7 me, said, okay, I can do this. So I went up in front of the entire student body, the entire school, all of the faculty, and I spoke about alopecia to raise awareness and to tell people how it made me feel when people judged me for something that I couldn't control. And after that, all of the bullying stopped. Literally everything. Everything stopped, and I felt more comfortable in my own skin. I felt more comfortable in the environment that I was going to be spending for the next few years of my life. because everyone knew. And I felt more comfortable because everyone knew. The more people that I told, the more comfortable I felt. And also, it gave me leeway to start exploring different kinds of wigs and actually having fun wearing wigs. So that's kind of when my wig journey started, because I really started to have fun because people knew I had alopecia. People expected, well, they didn't expect, but like if I were to change my hair color, they would know it's because of alopecia. So I very much used wigs as a safety blanket for a long time. And I got to a point where I was comfortable with myself wearing wigs, but I still had not accepted it at all. I was still very much in denial. I still wanted my hair back, and I wanted to fight with everything that I had to get my hair back. So I tried numerous treatments. I started steroid injections in my head, where I would go once a month to my dermatologist, and he would insert like 30 to 40 needles into my head every month, and it was very difficult. One of the most difficult treatments that I tried was methotrexate, and methotrexate is a chemotherapeutic treatment. And I didn't realize that I was on a chemo treatment until my aunt was diagnosed with cancer, and she happened to be on the exact same treatment that I was for very different issues. So I got really, really scared, and it was probably one of the worst years of my life because the side effects were absolutely horrendous. I say this often, that I lost a year of my life because of it. And there were some regrets. I mean, there are some regrets of being on that medication, but I didn't really know any better. And my parents wanted to support me in the journey of, growing my hair back, because they knew I was very, very desperate at the time. So I appreciated their support. I didn't know about the long-term consequences. I had no idea. But after a year, like, my hair was growing back. Like, this treatment was really, really working, but I had to like outweigh the pros and the cons. And honestly, the way that I was feeling on the weekend, every single week, it was just not worth it anymore. And the moment I stopped, all of my hair came back. I mean, all of my hair fell out. It did not come back. It had come back on the treatment, but then it immediately fell out afterwards. And that's when I started to post on social media about alopecia to raise awareness. I was still very hidden about it in person, wearing wigs and stuff like that. But I wanted to be a bit more vocal about my experience in the hopes of, helping other people and maybe connecting with other people with alopecia in my local community, which was great. And I don't know, this is the point of my alopecia journey where it starts to get uphill. What's next? What's next on my list? Oh, so I lost all of my hair after that treatment that I just said. And I kept wearing wigs. I kept buying wigs. I still had no idea, nothing about wigs, nothing about quality or anything. So I felt like my parents wasted so much money on really poor quality wigs. So I wish I had more knowledge before that. But there just weren't any resources back then. There were just little small wig boutiques here in my hometown, and I didn't really know of anything else. I didn't really find any support elsewhere. There was just really nothing. There was no one for me to look up to or anything. There was just nothing, unfortunately. So throughout high school, every time that the grade 7s would come in, the new grade 7s that would come in, I would do a similar presentation just to raise awareness about alopecia. And I remember there was this one day, I want to say in grade 11, where my friend and I, we won tickets to a concert in Toronto, which is 2 hours away from my hometown. And so we were so excited. We packed up, we drove to Toronto, we got to Toronto, and I had a panic moment, and I realized, oh crap, I forgot my wig. So my mom said, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go out and buy a cheap wig do you want me to bring you to like a barber shop to shave off the rest of your hair? Because I had like stubbles everywhere. Alopecia areata is very chaotic in the head because there's just like patches, and then there's hair, and then there's patches, and then there's hair, and then it just like continues to move around, which is hilarious. And somehow I had the courage, with the support of my friend and my mom, to go to a salon, and I got my head buzzed. And I went to this concert for the first time, publicly bald. That was a huge point. And I realized then and there that, wow, people actually don't care. Like, I did get like a few comments here and there, a few questions here and there, but nothing like crazy, nothing that made me feel uncomfortable. If anything, I got more compliments than anything, which kind of boosted my confidence a lot more. So that was really, really nice to hear. So that was great. And then towards the end of high school, I I started suddenly regrowing my hair back. Like, my hair was actually growing back in like it would like it got to about probably here. It was really, really dark, which was very strange. And then it started falling out again, which was hard to accept. But I knew that it was coming, because I realized early on, and I'm really thankful that my dermatologist told this to me at an early age, that the likelihood of me getting a full head of hair back is very, very slim. And he told me that. And I'm happy he did, because that really did set me up the way that I wanted to be set up. Obviously, there were times where my hair grew back and then my hair would fall out, and I would get so emotional. I would go into these depressive states. But at that point, when my hair was growing back, I enjoyed it for the time being, but I knew that it wasn't going to be forever. So when it was falling out, I made a decision on a whim that the night before my graduation photos, I would shave my head. I would walk into school bald, and I would take my graduation pictures bald and proud. And that is what I did. That was just like such a great part in my story. And honestly, ever since then, I mean, I've been talking about a whole lot of positives for a few minutes now, and it only gets more positive. I really started to take control over my narrative and over my life, like truly and authentically, when I shaved my head, because that was me making a decision for myself, a powerful decision that I wanted to make. And so I did that, and the pictures turned out great. And then I graduated, and I took a victory lap, and I traveled, and I started to be even more vocal on social media, and I started to go out bald more often, which was huge for me. I got more into volunteering with CANF, the Canadian Alopecia Areata Foundation. I started to have more opportunities come about, photo shoots, videos, magazines reaching out to me, newspapers reaching out to me. And then I started university after that year, which was so lovely. And that is, actually, no, I started the Art of Alopecia during COVID, which was before university. I believe it was the summer before university. And honestly, I had no idea where this platform would have gone. Like, I had no idea where it would go. And now I can say that it has completely changed and transformed my life for the better. So many more opportunities has come out of it. I have created this platform to help support, normalize, raise awareness for alopecia. And I get to help people on a day-to-day basis. I get to show the side of alopecia, of how fun it can actually be when or if you're able to get over that kind of hardship of letting something go, because I know how traumatic hair loss can be. So I started the Art of Alopecia in, I think, 2020, and it's just led me to amazing opportunities. One of my favorite ones is I did a partnership. So it was a partnership between Benefits Canada and Visor. Visor, you might know, and it might sound familiar, that is one of the COVID vaccinations that were offered. And basically Benefits Canada and Visor partnered together, and they had me involved to basically share my story with alopecia and to hopefully help change the narrative of alopecia being a cosmetic issue, and hopefully like creating the narrative. I'm trying to find the right word here, but I'm struggling to, so I'm just going to keep repeating the same word. What word am I looking for? Like challenging the misconception that alopecia is just cosmetic, but then creating the narrative that it is actually medical. And the reason behind this project was to hopefully target insurance companies to see alopecia as a medical issue, to give people with alopecia the coverage to explore different treatment options. And I do not want to do treatment. I don't want to do treatments for the rest of my life. I've done my fair share, but I support everyone having a choice. And by me doing this project with them, by helping raise awareness for alopecia, and just like, again, I'm going to say it again, creating that narrative, but like that was a really important project for me, because a lot of new treatments for alopecia are not covered, and a lot of people have been paying out of pocket, and I find that very, very unfair. I think everyone should be entitled to treatments if they so desire. So that was a really great opportunity that came out of the Art of Alopecia. It was organized by the beautiful Canadian Alopecia Areata Foundation, and I started mentoring a few years ago, so I have a whole bunch of mentees under my wing, and honestly, it is the best thing about my life. It is my favorite thing, because I get to help inspire these beautiful young women, kids, but I also do mentor women as well. But I just get to see these little girls grow up in a better world, in a world that I wish that I could have grown up in. There is so much awareness for alopecia, and I'm so happy that they have me to look up to, because if anything, like, I'm giving back to my younger self by mentoring, but I'm also helping these little girls grow up to be the most confident, courageous, selfless people that they can be. And that is, again, one of my favorite things about my life that I do on a daily basis. And one thing that I actually forgot to mention in my alopecia journey, I know we're approaching 30 minutes, sorry I've been rambling for so long, but when I was 18, I progressed into alopecia universalis. So I started to lose my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I never had arms on my, I never had any hair on my arms or my legs, but I basically just lost everything on my body. And I got my microblading done, which was the best thing that I could have ever done for myself. It is just so easy in the morning. They do tend to, what's the word I'm looking for? They do tend to wash out a little bit more than if someone were to get microblading that did have eyebrows, because at least when you do have eyebrows, it helps I'm having such a hard time talking today. The color just like wears out a lot more often. So what I do is I just like fill them in with a pencil to give it a little bit more color. And that's what I've been doing ever since I was 18, and my microblading is still there. I get it touched up probably once a year. I could go more often, but I don't feel like I need to. But I think we're nearing the end of this video, because I think I'm gonna stumble more over my words if I continue talking. But that is basically my alopecia story. It was a hard one to experience as a kid, but honestly, I am thankful for every single moment. Every single moment, because it has become the best part of who I am. The best part of everything in my life, you know? I love rocking the bald, but I'm also having so much fun wearing different wigs, rocking different styles. I have the versatility to wear different hair colors on a day-to-day basis, which is so cool. One day I'll wake up and I'll be like, I'm feeling like rocking the bald, or another day I'll feel like rocking the red or rocking the brunette, rocking a blue wig. It's so much fun. I stopped the video quickly and I'm gonna restart it because I wanted to show you one of my babies. I just want to show you just like how much fun I have rocking my wigs. And this is by a company. This is one of my favorite synthetic pieces by the company Tressalure. And this is either their glam unit or their sensational unit. Honestly, that's what happens when you have so many different wigs. You start to forget who's who. But this is me on a daily basis. I get to just choose what hairstyle I want to rock, what hair color I want to rock, if I want to rock any hair at all. It's just such a great life. But anyways, for those who have been watching until now, kudos to you. You guys are the real fans out here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe I have touch base on all of the things that I wanted to. It's just there's so much to tell. So feel free to reach out to me at any point in time. If you ever want to chat, connect, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me over social media, or you can email me at theartofalopecia@gmail.com if you don't feel comfortable necessarily reaching out to me via social media, but I would be happy to connect with you. But just sitting here today talking about my alopecia journey once again, I am just so grateful for the journey. So happy that it has led me to this point in my life and to the person that I am today. I love my life with alopecia. I feel like I would have an identity crisis if my hair were to suddenly grow back at this point in time. Anyways, I will stop the video. I will stop talking. But anyways, I am so happy to have had this opportunity to share with you all, and I'm going to stop mumbling now. So I hope you guys have the best day possible, and happy Alopecia Awareness Month, and hope to see you guys soon. Okay,